Man, that is so awesome. Hearing that and seeing this intro again after so many years was a wave of nostalgia hitting me like a truck. But this is what I absolutely love about gaming on the PC. The library of games that you can access truly feels like it's limitless, and best part about it all is you generally don't have to jump through any hoops to go down memory lane, a feature that for some reason current gen consoles are incapable of doing. Well, I mean, we all kind of know the reason for that. Let's discuss that in this video.
Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video.
Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. What you're looking at here is gameplay of Need for Speed High Stakes on the PC, an entry into the popular Need for Speed series released back in 1999. And this game here is very special to me because not only is it my personal favorite from the franchise, it's also the very first PC game I had ever played. Going back to 1999, I was just 5 years old at the time, and my dad bought a compact Presario desktop PC setup. I think it was the S2020 model, but it came with a CRT monitor with speakers mounted on the side, a scanner, along with a separate printer. I recall he told me the whole setup was like $5,000 CAD from Future Shop. I'm sure my fellow Canadians remember that store, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of funny that we talk about expensive PC parts today, but back then, and adjusted for inflation, desktop PC setups were quite expensive. Then again, this wasn't OEM pre-built, and I have no doubt he was probably ripped off back then. Anyways, my cousin at the time, who was into PC gaming and was the one who introduced me into it, came over when he had heard about our setup and brought over this, Need for Speed High Stakes, and when he had dropped that disc into the disk drive, installed it on our PC and launched the game, my mind was absolutely blown. And I was already quite into cars, and the fact that I could race vehicles as well as engage in high-speed police pursuits was super thrilling and appealing to me. But this moment here was how I was introduced into PC gaming. I guess this is my origin story, and I've been hooked ever since. I still have the original disc from 1999. I should probably frame this or something as it holds very special value to me. Fast forward to today, and what I wanted to do was take a further trip down memory lane and show you guys some gameplay of one of my favorite Need for Speed titles and also one of my favorite PC games of all time. And before I piss off any sort of hardcore Need for Speed fans, what I'm going to say is while High Stakes is my personal favorite, I think that Most Wanted 2005 was probably when the franchise had peaked, but this game in particular just holds a special place in my heart. Here I've got the game in a folder and all I have to do is press launch, and then boom, there we go, we're now up and running. And as trivial as this is to most of you, the reason why I highlighted that such a basic action is because where else can you expect this level of quote-unquote backwards compatibility? We'll talk more about that later on in the video. So here we are in Need for Speed High Stakes, and I gotta say, looking back at this menu design, it was simple but also in a way ahead of its time. Now we'll just be diving into the Hot Pursuit mode, which was my favorite mode, and race around a track while evading cops at the same time. This game also had a decent and wide variety of cars from BMWs, Porsches, Lamborghinis, Corvettes, and more. And the graphics for the car models also really looked good for its time. There wasn't any in-depth car customization mode or anything. I think you could apply some upgrades in the tournament mode, but other than that, it was pretty basic stuff, but I honestly prefer that. I'd like to just pick my car and get racing. This game also had a wide variety of tracks available, and you could also unlock more as you played certain modes. You did also get the option to set your time of day, as well as enable special weather effects, which do have an impact on your driving and handling experience. It's about time we jump into a race, and if my driving sucks, it's because I'm just using my keyboard's arrow keys and not a controller or gamepad. The graphics surprisingly hold up well. This is a 25-year-old game, so do keep that in mind, but I gotta say it still looks really decent, and I'm pretty sure I have seen some mods out there that have a fix to make it a true widescreen. Along with that, there are texture packs and reshade mods further enhancing the visuals and bring them up a bit up to par with modern standards. But this game was just pure fun. No extra nonsense, no cringy stories shoved in your face, it was just straight racing business. You picked a car, you selected a track, and you were off to the races, quite literally. At the time, I found myself just totally immersed. I have spent countless hours in this game just driving around playing both sides as a racer or as a cop. The cops in this game are quite aggressive, some of the most aggressive cops I've seen from a Need for Speed game, but hey, that's what made this game really thrilling. And since we're playing on my personal rig with a 14900K and a 3090, obviously the game has absolutely no problems running. I mean, even back then on the hardware I had in the old compact, it ran decently, but I mean back then I was just 5 years old I was just so much more fixated by the concept of the video game itself that I could race around a track. I wasn't able to find an FPS unlock mod. I don't even know if it's possible due to the game's engine having a hard limit, but I suspect a game like this would be running at like 1000 FPS with the horsepower we have in PCs today. But at this point, it doesn't even matter. This game is a heck of a lot of fun. If you're a fan of old racing games or Need for Speed games and you haven't tried this, I highly recommend checking it out. Taking a trip down memory lane like this and being able to revisit old titles is always very fun to do, and just having the capability to do something like this without any hassle is why I like gaming on the PC. I was prompted on making this video because with the recent announcement of the PS5 Pro, it seemed to have sparked up a lot of debate amongst the console and PC gaming crowd, and I'll make my stance very clear. While I think both platforms have a place in the gaming market, I will always say the PC platform is the superior platform hands down. I'm not going to go over all the reasons why I think PC is superior because this video wasn't really supposed to be about that, and it's a big enough topic that needs its own video. Along with that, there have been some great videos already put out there by other channels surrounding this discussion. Our good friend eRock on Tech had made a couple of excellent videos talking about PC gaming advantages, as well as talk about some really good build options priced competitively. But the one thing I did want to highlight was the subject of backwards compatibility, as it's an area that unfortunately on consoles, gamers are getting screwed on. As you guys saw, all I did was click on the game's EXE and that was it. When we think about backwards compatibility, in a way, there technically isn't any backwards compatibility on the PC because at its core, it's still an x86 operating system, which was what these games were already built for. So if you want to go back and play games from like the 90s that I had demonstrated with Need for Speed High Stakes, say you want to go back and play the first Diablo, maybe you want to go play the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, you can totally do so. Most of them will launch and play with no issues. Now, I'm not going to pretend like it's all rainbows and sunshine, because sometimes you may need to do some tweaks or download a special GPU config file to get around some hardware-software compatibility barriers, but the vast majority of the time, revisiting old PC games is super simple. This just isn't the case with consoles. You'd think because the PS5 has emulators to play PS1 and PS2 games, you should be able to insert a PS1 disc and play like normal. However, that's not the case, and while over on the Xbox side, compatibility is better, where some original Xbox games can be played on the Series X using the original disc, not every single game will work, and I believe Microsoft has a list out there that'll tell you if it's backwards compatible or not. Circling back to the PlayStation 5, a lot of those older games can actually be only played if you purchased a copy from the PlayStation Store. Yep, Sony would like you to pay for that game again just to play it on the newer console. Nintendo does the same thing, though although the situation is a little bit different because the console itself is totally different. It's not like you can plug an N64 or Game Boy cartridge on the Nintendo Switch. So on the Switch, if you want to revisit older titles, you gotta repurchase them from the Nintendo Store, and again, some of the prices on these older titles is just absolutely ridiculous. Or the other clever thing that they're doing is just re-releasing the same game, just quote-unquote remastered. They're all essentially double dipping, and it always just comes down to maximizing revenue, and the reason why they can continue to indulge in it is because the console ecosystem is so locked down. Now, I get it, sometimes people will bring up the topic of emulators, hacked consoles, homebrew, third-party mods and stuff like that to allow you to play those games again without having to repurchase them, but you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get there. Your console is then, hacked, so you can't even go online, so there's that risk. Whereas on the PC, you just don't have to deal with any of that nonsense to go back and replay older titles, as I just showed you. And on top of that, the ironic part is that it's much easier for me to actually download an N64 or PS1 emulator and just play the games that way, rather than appease Sony's or Nintendo's monopolistic practices. It's why third-party retro systems are so popular, or why people buy Raspberry Pis and turn it into a retro emulating console. Therefore, backwards compatibility is an area where the PC is just undeniably the superior platform. There's no question about it. So there you have it. It's just something I wanted to contribute to the whole console versus PC discussion. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I'm going to get back to playing some Need for Speed High Stakes on the PC, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.